The curious stone that kept appearing. This happened to me last fall, shortly after I moved into my new apartment. I was unpacking boxes in the kitchen when I noticed a small, smooth, gray stone sitting on the counter. It wasn't particularly remarkable, just a palm-sized river stone, but it seemed out of place. I figured the previous tenant must have left it behind, or maybe a mover accidentally dropped it. I picked it up, admiring its unique striations, and placed it in a decorative bowl on my living room shelf, intending to eventually toss it out. A few days later, I walked into my bathroom and saw the stone sitting on the edge of the sink. I distinctly remember putting it on the living room shelf. I paused, confused, then shrugged it off. Maybe I'd picked it up absent-mindedly and carried it in here, setting it down without thinking. I put it back in the bowl. About a week passed. I was getting ready for bed, and there it was again, on my nightstand. My heart did a little skip. This was definitely odd. I hadn't touched it since I put it back in the bowl, and I knew for sure I hadn't brought it into the bedroom. I stared at it for a long moment, feeling a prickle of unease. Was someone messing with me? But I lived alone. The next morning, I woke up, and the stone was on my pillow, right next to my head. Okay, this was officially creepy. I actually flinched. There was no way I'd done this in my sleep. Was my apartment haunted by a mischievous pebble? I picked it up with a hesitant finger, feeling a strange mix of fear and bewilderment. Determined to get to the bottom of it, I decided to conduct an experiment. I placed the stone back on the living room shelf, this time pushing it all the way to the back, behind a heavy book. I even took a picture of its position. "Alright, little guy," I whispered, "let's see where you go next." The following morning, the stone was gone from behind the book. I searched the entire living room, a growing knot of anxiety in my stomach. I was about to give up when I noticed something glinting under the couch. There it was. Not only had it moved, but it had somehow gotten under the furniture. I picked it up, feeling thoroughly unnerved. As I stood there, pondering this tiny, mobile mystery, my gaze drifted to the metal picture frame on the coffee table nearby. It had a surprisingly heavy, solid base. On a whim, I touched the stone to the frame. To my absolute astonishment, it stuck. Not with glue, but with a definite pull. The stone wasn't just a stone. It was a lodestone, a naturally magnetized piece of magnetite. And my apartment, with its old pipes, metal studs, and various decorative metallic objects, was apparently a playground for subtle magnetic fields. The movements weren't purposeful, the stone was simply being slowly pulled and nudged by the strongest magnetic force nearby, sometimes over days, sometimes over hours, until it ended up in unexpected places. The previous tenant must have used it as a quirky magnet, perhaps to hold notes to a metal board or the fridge, and accidentally left it. I laughed out loud, the tension draining from me in a rush. All that psychological suspense, all those goosebumps, for a perfectly harmless, scientific explanation. I put the magnetic stone on my fridge, where it now holds a grocery list. It hasn't moved since.